Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of the Spellbreaker Anti-Magic Shield from Dungeons & Dragons. In this episode, I would like to get it all finished, but there's a lot of detail in the front of that shield, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it, because once the front's done, I've then got to turn it over and make the strap and the carrying handle on the back. I've just been watching the first episode, and I noticed that at the introduction of that episode I did quite a lot of talking. So in this episode, let's stop talking and let's get making. Now what I've got to do, I'm going to mark around the edges, I'm going to mark all the stones. Well, I call them stones, I don't know what they are. I've only seen a photograph just like you lot. So let's say stones. Okay, so I'm going to mark the stones and then I'm going to cut the little grooves. And then I can reduce the thickness of this to its correct thickness. That sounds rubbish, that. Never mind, that's what I'm going to do. The shield has got this big curve. This ring in the middle is touching in the centre, and once you get to the sides there's a big gap. It's about 8mm. So what I've got to do now is I've got to cut and sand this ring until it fits the contour of the shield, and once I've done that I've got to do something similar with the dome in the centre. It's going to take a long time, but never mind. Let's get it done. I've just had another idea. I think instead of reducing the thickness here and leaving it the same at the side so it follows the contour, what I'm going to do, I'm going to saw down these grooves, and I'm going to push and fit this ring till it fits the contour. That way this ring stays the same thickness all the way around, and any cracks that have opened up I'll be filling before I paint it. I think that's the better idea, because I can then also do the same with these pieces when I come to fit them on the edge, on the sides of the shield. I'm trying to convince myself here, but I do think it's the best way to go. I'm going to give it a go. It might look bad, but it's not a problem. Once I glue this onto here and I start fitting all the other pieces on, I'm going to be using a little bit of filler where it's needed, a little bit of glue where it's needed, and you won't see any of that. So the next thing to do is to move on to the staining. I've just had a look at the photograph and I find that this piece around here, down here, same on the other side, it's got to be done in this colour. So I can just paint it on, because the other things in the corners are going to cover any overspill that I get. So I don't need to mask it off, I can just paint it. I'll paint that as well. It doesn't matter if things are a little bit rough, because in the Dungeons and Dragons series, it's in a different realm, and nothing's machined. Everything like this in the game is hand forged or made by magicians and wizards. So the fact that it's a little bit rough doesn't matter. Just paint it up. Doesn't matter about the different colours. It just looks like a little bit of weathering on the shield itself. I think it adds to the character. I quite like it. Plus it makes my life easier. Maybe that's why I like it. Now what I have to do is I have to very carefully cut this one right down the middle, so I end up with two pieces that are identical shape and size, like I did with this side. Perfect. Now I just have to cut a little bit here. It was just a bit too thick for the blade. A little bit here. I'll do that by hand. I have to make a backing piece for each of these corners of the shield, and the only piece of material I've got is this. So I've just placed the pieces on top, and I'll tell you, it's just, there isn't even 1 millimetre to spare. It's just touching here, just touching the edge. This is, it can't go any closer. This is touching the edge, and obviously it's a mirror image. This is exactly the same. 2 millimetres more, 2 millimetres small. I wouldn't have been able to make this. Whew, that was lucky. Now before I glue this piece onto here, I have to smooth off all the inside, and I have to cut all the little grooves, only on the inside. I can do the top and I can do the outside after it's been glued. I can do the two pieces together. But for the inside, I'll struggle cutting the grooves without touching this. So I've got to do that now. thing I have to do is trim all the edges that I couldn't get on my disc sander. I'll do them with my Dremel, and then when I've done them, I've got to carry on cutting all the little grooves all the way around the edges. Then they can be stained and glued to the Sheild. There's not a right lot left to do now. I've just got to make the 2 points and the pieces that fit here, here, and the 4 pieces around the edge. I can't make the pieces around the edge until these are fitted in place, because once they're fitted in place I'll know the exact size. So the next step is to fit these in position. Well, that's it for this episode. Looks like I've got to make a third episode after all, just to finish all them little bits off and then magically charge the Sheild. If you want to know how I'm going to magically charge it, hit that subscribe button and get notified when the next video comes out, and come back and watch how I do it. Catch you later.